Hey guys, Jedi Richard. So, oh man, I had kind of a hard week. I don't know if you've ever had any of your exes ever contact you before. I haven't, because most of my exes just kind of, I don't know. I just haven't. But this past week, I've seen, at least 3, maybe 4. I saw one person troll my LinkedIn account that I dated shortly. Another person on LinkedIn as well that only knew me from work from 30 years ago, and she was my boss. And then the weirdest thing was, this was the weirdest one. One of my ex-girlfriends, her name, okay, I won't say her name because that's just not cool, but her ex-boyfriend, I'll say his name because how are you gonna put that together? So her ex-boyfriend from when she was like 19, and they dated for like 2 years, she said, and she just talked shit about him the whole time, contacted me on my website. Ain't that weird? So I was like, what the hell's going on? And he basically, I wrote a blog one time, I was kind of like venting on past relationships and things, and Carla had an issue with, I said her name. Anyway, so Carla, I had an issue with, because Carla basically, Carla stole $7,000 from me when we broke up. And she justified it saying because I moved her to, she justified it, I don't know, she had a number of reasons why she does. No, this is why she justified it. She justified it saying that I should have no problem making that $7,000 back, where it would be very hard for her to do it. Make that kind of money. Okay, at the time I was kind of like, I guess I was kind of dumb. What it was that she had manipulated me. So she made me feel really bad. The whole relationship with me doing nothing but trying to please her and give her things and make her happy. And I just was not, I was miserable probably from day 3. The first 2 days were pretty good, but day 3, it started getting weird, and I just thought it would get better, but it was like one of those slow things that kept getting worse. Basically she used me to move her to New York, to pay for a move to New York so she could go to Columbia. Anyways, well, that's what happened. Is this even on? So that was my angry part, like coming out. I wouldn't say that she even was conscious of that at the time, and I apologize for throwing it out. And that's the thing, when you don't have these conversations with people, like she was not a person you could argue with. So you stuff all this stuff in there, and it felt like that to me. Although from her perspective, she would say, well, I offered to move her to New York, and she said, okay. And then I offered to pay for everything, and she said, okay. And then, I offered to help her get into Columbia, and she said, okay. I offered to pay for all whatever that was required, and she said, okay. And so she'll say, well, I just offered her those things. Like, how could that be misconstrued? Like, what was the big deal? And then, the whole time, obviously she was very distant. She had one of her exes come stay with us for a week in our apartment. I was absolutely floored. I was completely floored. But she had a lot of her family and friends coming to stay with us and sleep on our couch, because I had a nice place in Manhattan. So everybody wanted to stay with Jedi Rich that she knew. I don't think while we were together, I had anybody come visit. I can't remember anybody when she was with me. It was just her friend. Anyways, that's just been a side story. I'm just kind of thinking about it from their perspective, like, wow. From my perspective, it was like, man, it was kind of just like, crappy apartment, $3,500 a month. From them, they must have been freaking out, because that's the way gold diggers think, and that's what Carla was. Carla was a gold digger, and I never really experienced that before. She was my first real gold digger, but I still didn't even realize until way later. And what they do is they manipulate you. They manipulate you, giving you all this stuff, and they never give you, that you're doing it under the pretense that they love you and that we're all together like a normal relationship, but really, they don't. And they're really kind of just playing away, and as you kind of get distant, they start picking on you for things that you're doing as a result of them being so distant and taking all this money from you. It gets weird. And so after a year or two, it gets really weird. All sorts of things happen, and then things blow up. and we break up, and it's, of course it's my fault. And I take full responsibility, full blame at the time, not understanding the bigger picture. Especially when she walked out the door with $7,000 plus a plane ticket to San Francisco and back and all this. I mean, it was ridiculous what I gave her as parting gifts. Not to mention I was paying for everything. So that sort of thing, as I start to think about that adds up to a lot of money. I mean, I knew that was all a crime. I knew I could do something about the time. I just felt, well, like I said, when you're being manipulated and conned, you don't think rationally. So, anyway, so this guy Leon called me. And Leon or messaged me. And he, from what I know about him, Carla just said he's the dumbest guy on the planet. That's what she described him as. So what sort of 33-year-old would think an 18-year-old would want to run off and marry him, is what she said. She just traveled with him for 2 years, took all of his stuff, and then when she left, she was like, how dumb are you? I'm 20 years old. I wasn't going to marry you. And she went off with someone else, the same person who ended up staying with us, by the way. But now I'm kind of putting this all together. It makes a lot of sense how that was just how she goes through life, just using people. And so I just want to throw that out there. Carla Gosnell, this is called a tag. Okay? So you've now been tagged. I know you don't believe in anything. You don't believe in anything like that. But what this is hopefully you can see that this is reality. What you did was a lifetime of hurting people. And one of your exes contacted me to let me know what you did to him. I mean, that's weird. That's from a long time ago, Carla. That's like from 40 years ago, 30 years ago. So, Carla, want you to know that however you're living in life, whatever's happening to you, if you've gotten fat, if you're ailing, any of that stuff, I really hope that's not happening to you. I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're enjoying life. And I just want the best for you. But I want you to know that you are now tagged, and this is documented, that you stole $7,000 out of my checking account, my savings account, and left me with $0 in my savings account when we broke up, and you had no right to that money.